Florida State returns to practice, first fall practice of camp for 2016. Nole insiders Lane Hurt and Tim Linefelt here. Unlike the spring, where head coach Jimbo Fisher was very unhappy with his first practice, he was much more pleased in the fall. Take a listen.
It was a good day. They adjusted well. They adapted to the seniors, helped them. The upperclassmen helped those young guys, and we'll look at the film and see what we got. But for a good day, a good energy practice. We'll look at the execution as we go.
Tim, I guess you could say after the spring, this was a very typical first practice. What were your first impressions?
Well, to go back to what Jimbo Fisher had said, when you hear a coach say that the energy at practice is upbeat and they're happy with the effort, usually you kind of say, okay, that's good, standard operating procedure. But after what we saw in the spring, it's actually a pretty welcome sight to see that the team did have its mind in the right place and was given the type of effort and intensity that you would like to see in a typical first practice. So I like that a lot. It was good to kind of talk to some of the players afterwards. Asked Roderick Johnson, junior left tackle, what it was like having just so many offensive linemen in the fold. FSU added 6 new linemen to their mix this year, and it's made a really big difference just in terms of depth, giving guys a chance to catch a breather if they need to. Roderick actually recalled spring a couple years ago, they were down to 8 offensive linemen, which is almost a third of what they have now. I think they're up to 19 scholarship linemen now. So when you talk about getting down to 8, it's a pretty nice luxury to be able to have so many bodies to be able to rotate in and get everybody their reps without fear of injury.
The guy they're blocking for in the fall is going to be Dalvin Cook. I asked him about the weight that he put on in the offseason. He said it wasn't an intentional thing that he did. He just did some things that the strength and conditioning staff asked him to do, did it the right way, and add a little bit of weight, which is never going to be a bad thing for a running back.
Well, and anytime you see a player put on weight like that at any position, your first thought is, was he still as fast as he was? And that's doubly important for Dalvin Cook, who obviously his game is predicated on speed. And from everything we've heard and just from watching him in practice, he looks as quick as ever with his runs, his cuts. He's always going to be a guy who makes that extra move to make a guy miss and then has the breakaway speed. And if he adds just a little bit of strength, make him a little bit more difficult to tackle. I don't know how he could be more difficult to tackle, but if he somehow found a way, that's definitely a good thing for Florida State.
On the defensive side of the ball, Marquez White last year fighting to be a starter. This year, kind of the leader of the secondary. He's kind of embraced that leadership role.
Yeah, it's really kind of an interesting about face for him. A year ago at this time, Marquez White was the new guy, the guy who wasn't Jalen Ramsey, if you will. So, he had all those questions about, well, what's it like lining up across from Jalen, and what can you learn from Jalen, and what does Jalen do to help you along? And now it's the roles have completely reversed, and it's Marquez. What's it like being the leader out there, and what's it like being the guy who has to set the example for the younger cornerbacks? In this case, Tavares McFadden and Marcus Lewis. Both those guys seem to be engaged in a race to be the cornerback opposite of Marquez White, and he said that he takes it upon himself to set that example and help those guys along the same way other players did for him a year ago. So it's kind of fun to see the way that cycle comes about.
Well, very early in camp, we'll have a whole lot more from practice. We have access again on Thursday with players and Coach Fisher, and then of course Media Day on Sunday. We'll get to talk to assistant coaches and have a whole bunch of content for you all fall long. So stick with us at Seminoles.com. He's Tim Linefelt. I'm Lane Hurt. Go Noles.